Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Be My Guest. I am your host, Eric Guest, and in today's episode, we will be discussing the premise of how action creates clarity. And I mean when saying that sometimes we constrict ourselves. We stop ourselves from doing the things that maybe we set out to do in life, some of the goals or some of the dreams that we aspire to achieve in life, because we're afraid of taking the first step. We're afraid of getting into whatever that thing is. So we ultimately, in the planning stages, in the mapping out every fine detail, every fine step of whatever that thing is, whatever that pursuit is, we end up essentially stopping ourselves. No one else, no other circumstances besides our own actions is what ultimately stops us from taking that first step, taking that first leap of faith. So that's what we're going to get into today. It's going to be a great show. I hope there is plenty of information, plenty that you guys can take out of it. So while you're here, go down, drop the subscription, drop the follow, drop a like. Let me know in the comments any details that you want to hear about, any stories, any thoughts I can expand upon. I'm always open ears to all recommendations. So, with that being said, we're going to do a little check-in before I get started with that. Today I went and I had a nice little Christmas Eve dinner that was planned by the pep group that I'm in. The pep group that is about psychosis. That is what the acronym PEP is for. It is. I need to learn the acronym. Prevention, Early, Predictive Psychosis. That's my guess. If I had to guess, it's something along those lines. But anyways, it's the group of people who have gone through psychosis. Maybe they have a diagnosis of psychosis, and we collect at the hospital and we discuss things, we share like-minded ideas, some of our experiences. And at first, I'll share a story. At first I was really upset with how the group was formed. I wasn't getting enough out of it. I thought it was going to be a lot more conversation-based. I thought it was going to be a lot more sharing experiences, maybe learning and growing together in that sort of sense, instead of maybe just a place to go and meet friends. But through me wanting to do that, we've actually, talking to someone who works there, we've incorporated a couple more or another day in the month that it is specifically based to talk about ideas, talk about our lived experiences, and talk about some of the things that maybe we have a harder time with in life due to some of the mental health issues and situations that we deal with in life. So I'm really happy about that. I'm happy that that was able to be part of the program and another little layer to the program. I'm hoping that people come and they get lots of joy out of it and get some nice information and can share their stories, share their experiences. As well, I wanted to take that program or that specific day a little step further, because I find when you're sharing some things in mental health or mental illness, there's going to be so many people in the world. There's going to be so many people that have very limited understanding of what it's really like to suffer with some of these mental illnesses, or to even have a family member or friend. Sometimes they won't have anyone who has really struggled with this sort of stuff or has gone through episodes or experiences or hospitalizations. So they're kind of in the dark, and their only understanding of mental health is what they see on TV, what the TV shows depict. So it's an extreme version of outbursts or severe moments in people having traumatic crises. So it's a very narrow-minded, very small painted picture, small section of the entire picture of what goes on sometimes. So with that being said, in this group that I suggested, it's to take out any of the volunteers or take out any of the workers that haven't gone through psychosis for themselves. And why I wanted to make that a necessity for the group was because I say this now, maybe in time I'll change, but I would say I don't think I'll ever be able to fully divulge all of the experiences or all of the things that happen during these severely elevated states of mania or psychosis. And why that is because while you're in the state of psychosis with essentially you're having a break from reality, you're in the spiritual realm, you're in the shadow realm, you're in another world. There's hallucinations going on, there's delusions going on, there's paranoia going on. So there's these very intense things going on while these episodes are happening. So some of the information coming in, some of the ideas, some of the stories you tell yourself, and then even after, how you reflect on the situation, some of the meaning you may draw from it, some of the messages you may draw from those situations. I think it's hard to fully be open to all of those to share to someone who maybe has never even experienced drugs, for example. Maybe they've never even had mind-altering drugs like cannabinoid or marijuana or hallucinogenics. So they have this very structured, strict, conservative mind towards a lot of these things that maybe they aren't so aware of other potentials or possibilities that the mind can go to certain places. The mind can travel and wander and do these very unique and interesting things. But to share those with someone with more of a closed, sheltered mind, no amount of explaining or no amount of communicating won't break through to them, and they won't understand it for what it is. So I think having a closed group where you're only surrounded by like-minded peers with similar lived experiences, you'll add a layer of openness to freely share anything that went on without any sort of closed-mindedness or any sort of critique from any exterior people. So that was my hopes and my intentions with that group, and I'm really happy that we were able to get that underway. And I'll go back to the dinner today, or the lunch we called it, or we had it at lunch anyways. But it was very nice. It's very nice to gather amongst peers, and there's a level of openness amongst some of us that just through random conversations you start talking about your own experiences. You start talking about your time in hospital, maybe some of your medications, some of the negative symptoms or side effects that you may be having. And it's awesome to bounce those ideas and bounce those experiences off of other people inside of the group without it being awkward, without it being this weird, naive, or taboo thing to talk about. It's an open space, and you can just share freely without most of the mainstream narratives of what we are and what we've been represented as. So with me doing the show, with me on this mission and sharing this information, it is to say that we deserve better. It's to say that we are humans. We do not deserve to be treated any differently than any other humans just because our brains and our minds and our psyches go into these altered states, or we experience the world differently. Doesn't mean we need to be put in a box and shoved away in a corner and viewed in a negative light. That's the mission here, and that's what we will take going forward with that mission. But today's episode, we're talking about actions creating clarity. And I mean by that is taking the steps, taking the first step in whatever your goal is, whatever you set out to do as a young guy, as most young people in today's age. It's more creativity-based jobs that we are striving for. We're striving to be entrepreneurs. We're striving to be streamers or talk show hosts or musicians or artists, photographers, whatever you're striving to be. I think it's more of a creative lens that a lot of young people are striving to be. So the message and what we're going to go over is some of the approaches to doing that, and I would say some of the best ways that I've found so far in doing that, because I would say I'm in the process now of doing it. And maybe a couple years ago in some of my journal entries I was writing that, hey, I want to start the Be My Guest show. I didn't know what kind of platform that would be on. I didn't know if it was a YouTube thing. I didn't know if it was a live streaming thing. I didn't know if it was going to be through podcast interviews. I wasn't entirely aware of what that idea was going to be. But in the process of trying many different things, in the process of just failing and having difficulties in that process, I ended up here. I ended up on the streaming platforms. I ended up posting to YouTube, and I ended up being a one-man band. I ended up being the one-man army, and that's how we're taking this now, and we're going to run with it, because I think I found the right platform, and I found the right setting for the message and the kind of connection I'm trying to build with the audience and my friends, ultimately, because that's what you guys are. You're not an audience, you're my friends, okay? How do we feel about the Christmas sweater? Huh? I think it's pretty cool. Couple reindeer on there. I had to bust out the Christmas festivities, obviously. Obviously it's Christmas Eve here, so I hope Santa brings you everything you asked for and your stocking's not stuffed with coal, because that would make for a small or a sad day. But I think one of the more important aspects of taking the first step or putting words into action or into practice is the small steps, because oftentimes we go through severe depression, we go through maybe living through a suicide attempt, and after coming out of that, it can be depression, it can be seclusion, isolation from the world. You can feel very isolated, almost as if you're on an island of your own. So I would say to anyone who is bedridden, to anyone who is in their bedroom sleeping all day, very lethargic, not wanting to do anything, and that's not who they were. That's not who they always were. And the first step, I would say, is doing something small. And it's doing something very, very small. And this message, I grasped, and I took such a core principle from Dr. Jordan Peterson. He talks about this at length when he says, make your bed. And that's in one of his books, 12 Rules for Life. I believe that's the first rule, is make your bed. And I think that's such an important message for people who struggle with mental health and mental illness. And it's not to say that it has to be making your bed, but it's to say, do something small. You feel as if you can't do anything. You feel as if you don't have the energy, any lust, any purpose, any passion. But it's do something small in your immediate circle. Look around you. Are you living in a bedroom that is disgusting and filthy and filled with garbage and clothes on the floor? What does your immediate living situation look like? And start small. Start with a corner of your room. Pick up a couple pieces of clothing. Maybe make your bed. Whatever it is, brush your teeth that day. Maybe you're able to hop in the shower that day. That's something. And don't ignore it as nothing. Don't brush it off after you've actually done something. Acknowledge that you've done a small thing and sit with it and say, okay, I was able to do this small thing. What's another small thing I can do? And that's how you get going. That's how you get the snowball rolling, because the snowball isn't going to be the avalanche. You're not going to be rushing and accomplishing all the dreams, all of the hopes and aspirations overnight. That's not how you get there, and that's very seldom do people get to that point or get to that experience. You almost have to win the lottery, okay? And sometimes people win the lottery, don't get me wrong, but it's taking the first step. It's doing the first small thing. It's getting the snowball rolling, essentially, and that's when momentum starts to build, and you start to go, okay, wow, that felt good. My room's a little cleaner. I'm actually doing something now. I did something I never thought I'd be able to do. Maybe a couple weeks or a couple days ago, you said, or you thought to yourself, I will stay in bed forever. I'll always be depressed. I'll never clean this room. I'll never, whatever it is. But now recognize, okay, I got this small thing done. Don't dismiss it, and then take the next step and keep on that path. Keep doing little things. Another thing you can do is set a small goal. Write actually in paper, I want to achieve this. Whatever it is. It can be a small thing, and then you have you said you want to achieve that. You said you're going to achieve that thing. Nobody else put that goal on your paper. No one else put that writing on your paper. But then you have something every day you can look at and say, I'm going to achieve that, and give yourself a date. Put a date on that thing, because sometimes we can make goals and we can write them down, and if you leave them open-ended, that they're just going to linger in the back of your mind, and they're going to be put on a shelf, and you're just going to have this idea that I'll get around to that goal, I'll get around to doing that thing, I'll get around to whatever it is. Instead, you need to put a date on that goal, put a date when you want to have achieved it by, so then you're holding yourself accountable as well. So I think that's very important, to have some sort of written down goal that you're striving for, you're striving to achieve, instead of just aimlessly wandering around and pitying yourself and wondering why you're so depressed and why you're anxious and why your life isn't the way you want it to be, instead of having a little structure, a little goal that you've written down to then aim at and try to achieve that thing. And the things you can be doing are so small. You can write a single journal entry for a day. You can go and walk around the block or walk outside for a little bit. You can go sit outside and just take in the sun. You can make your bed. You can clean a little portion of your room. You can brush your teeth. Whatever it is, there are things that you can achieve, very small things, very subtle things, that will then make you feel a little better, and that you can recognize in yourself that you're able to do something. You're able to start getting the ball rolling. And I think that's what's so important. That is what's so important, to get the little achievements, and not just get the little achievements, recognize when you do get the little achievements. Don't brush them aside. Don't just say, okay, that's just such a small thing. Everyone does that, whatever, I'm still depressed. No, say, I'm able to do this now. I wasn't able to do that before, but now I am. Give yourself that credit. It's important to give yourself credit. And this can be expanded across so many different areas, because once you set one goal, maybe then you're going to set 10 goals, and you're going to have a little bit bigger goals. So it's kind of that idea of getting the ball in motion. It's the saying, an object in motion stays in motion, right? And even a thing I do, and this isn't entirely relatable, but I have a calendar, and each day you would cross out or you would tick when the day is done. And I used to put X's over every day, X after the day was done. And I did a little shift, and I started putting check marks. And even now, putting check marks over when the days are done, it feels like an accomplishment. It feels like I could look at the day and say, did I do something of purpose? Did I do something that's positive? And you can probably think of something. You can probably think of at least a couple things, or a small thing you did that you could go, yeah, that's a positive thing. And instead of just an X to say the day's done, it's a check mark. It's more of a positive mindset. It's more of a positive reinforcement image that you see every day. So I think that's another little thing that you could do. And the list is endless. I'm sure as I speak, you're thinking of little things that maybe you could do. And that's what I'm looking for. That's what we want here. Whenever the ideas come of a little thing you can do, jot it down. And that's now on your goals for what you're aiming at. You're not just walking around lost. You don't know where you are. Your head's in the sand. No, you have a goal, and you're aiming at something. Like a sniper or an archer. You're aimed at the target, and you're going to achieve it now. You have the date set for when you're going to achieve it, and that's when you're going to hit it. So that's important. It's little things. It's the little things. Sip of water here. I get hot. I get hot in my room, and I think this gets me quite warm. I'm not gonna lie. This nice warm. That was weird. That was a weird position I was in. Pardon that. But this Christmas sweater gets me warm. I'm very hot in this room. Might need a little airflow. As well as when it comes to, like I said earlier, I would say the youth, and we're more in this creative pursuits. We see the streamers and the YouTubers and the influencers, we see those as idols. We see those as things to strive to be. And if you're going to think about that, don't think about it in such a grand way. Don't think, I need 1 million subscribers to be successful. Don't think, I need millions and millions and millions of views to be able to make that my life. I watched a video from Agent from AMP. He's a streamer, and he said, if you have 50 live concurrent viewers, you can make a living off of that. That can be your full-time job if you get 50 live concurrent viewers. So instead of the idea of, oh, I need 1,000 or 10,000 viewers at all times, it's shift it to something smaller, shift it to something more tangible. You only need a sliver of the market cap. You only need a sliver of the market share to be able to be successful. So instead of saying you need all of it, or you need half of it, or you need to be the biggest streamer, and if you get to be the biggest streamer, if you get to be the best, the most successful ever, that's just a feather in your cap. But it's thinking about, no, think about it as a small sliver. You need a small sliver of the market share of whatever the thing is, of streaming, of content creation, of influence, and you need to reach the common audience of who you're trying to reach. And then when you do that, when you get the sliver, then you're set. You're in your new life. But it's about how you frame trying to achieve these things, how you frame trying to attain some of these things is what is really important in doing so. Because even when I started doing this stuff, I think we all do this. We set out and we go, and I'd hope we all do this. I think if you're not, you don't have this mindset. You need this mindset, but it's, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be the biggest and the best, and I'm going to have the most influence. I'm going to reach the most people. I'm going to set all my goals. I'm going to achieve all my goals, and all my dreams and aspirations will come true. I think that's a great mindset, but it's okay having that, but it's also recognizing in reality what it will take and some of the important steps in doing so to achieve those things. So a sliver of the market cap, and you can be successful. Another thing with when you're creating content, I would say, is I think it's important that authenticity comes through, because it's one thing to chase trends. It's one thing to become a version of yourself that you're not. It's one thing to put on a mask and be this version that isn't you. When you go to sleep at night, when you walk around, when you're with your peers, that's not who you are. That's not the version of yourself that you want to succeed. You want the most raw, authentic version of you to succeed. And when you are you, for all of your flaws, all of your perfections, all of the stuff you have to offer, the right audience will reach you. You will tune into the right frequency, and the right people will come to you. It's not about trying to chase them. It's about you staying firm in who you are, planting your feet firmly as a pillar, as what you stand for, what your morals are, what you're trying to do, what your mission is. And then that's when the people come to you. That's when you're attracting the right audience. And that's another very important thing. And you can see this. You can see the examples that the people that weren't authentic and didn't do to their fullest extent authenticity or provide value or provide purpose and meaning in what they were doing, you can see the despair. You can see the misery that they end up in. And I'll use two examples here. I'll use Kai Cenat and I'll use Andrew Tate. And these aren't knocks on them, but I'm going to express what I've seen kind of. So if you look at, I'll start with Andrew Tate. If you look at Andrew Tate, he started off making money through this, through OnlyFans. He was a manager of kind of this webcam business that he got girls and he lured them in essentially, or he lured in the customers through him and his brother pretending to message the girls and the girls being on cam, whatever. But this was their business strategy. This is how they made the majority of their money. And then they made a lot of money through casino and gambling. And then they made a ton of money through targeting young audiences and kind of warping the innocence and the kind of the youthfulness without as much knowledge and wisdom and information in their lives, they use that's where their target audience and directed messages was constantly. So they kind of usurped the youth and that youthfulness and that naivete to benefit financially. So if you look at that and you look at the recent days of Andrew Tate, he's boxing again, and he did a boxing match. And after the boxing match, he's sitting there and he's talking about what's going on in his life. He's sad, he's crying, and he's expressing things. And he's fighting back against people to say they're looking at him as the failure. They're looking at him as this guy, like, what are you doing? You have all the money in the world. Why are you going out and fighting? And he's sending a message to say, I could have sat with my millions. I could have sat back and done nothing, but I chose to go out and still aspire to be something or aspire to be a warrior again. But I look at him and I can see sadness. I can see sadness because he's at the top of the mountain. He got to the top of the mountain. He got all the fame. He got all the influence. He got all the money. He got the millions. He got whatever. He's got the Bugattis, the girls, the private jets. He's got everything. But he's at the top of the mountain, and he doesn't feel fulfilled. Still, at the top of the mountain, he doesn't feel fulfilled. And that's why he's venturing off to do other things. That's why he's venturing back into boxing. Or he's sitting after the boxing match and questioning and contemplating why there's still an emptiness within him. And is that because there is this eternal drive for more? Is that the drive and the internal yearning for always wanting more, of the constant pursuit of more, and never being able to find happiness with what you have? Is that part of it? I would say, sure, probably that's part of it. But as well, I think in the entire process of him getting to the top of the mountain, some of the stuff he was doing wasn't entirely filled with purpose and meaning. There was a lack of meaning and purpose and desire and the truest sense of what he wanted to do or what he should be doing. And he leaned on other things. He leaned on gambling. He leaned on casinos. He leaned on webcam girls to make a lot of that money. And I think that's where some of the sadness comes from. That's where some of the despair comes from and some of the emptiness, because in the journey to the top, there were things that wasn't fully in line with doing the right thing or fully in line with complete authenticity for who he was and what his message should be. So I think that's kind of a prime example, as well as Kai Cenat. I would say he's going through a similar thing right now. And this isn't to punch a man when he's down, because I think he's having this dilemma and this internal battle right now with his mental health. And it's because of this exact thing. It's because he's reached the top of the mountain, but in so doing what he set out to do, in becoming the best streamer and streaming all the time and Mafiathon, he was pulled into something. He was pulled in, and he was kind of chained to being a version of himself online every day that wasn't filled with purpose, that wasn't filled with meaning, that he wasn't providing value to other people, because he was an entertainer first. He was getting up every day, and might I add, one of the most entertaining people out there today, which is why he's at the top of the mountain. But I think in what he was doing, what he chose to do, it wasn't entirely filled with purpose and meaning and authenticity. So now he's looking around, he's young. He's maybe 24 years old, 23 years old, and he has all the money now. He's got all the influence and the fame, and he's looking around going, wow, I thought when I got to this point, I thought when I got to the top of the mountain, I would feel a lot different. I thought I would feel this feeling of fulfillment. I thought I would feel this value in what I've done. But I think he's missing that now. He doesn't have that now, and that's why he's dealing with mental health issues. That's why he's trying to figure out where to go next, and now he's lost. And now he's in the cycle of being lost until you find what the next step is, where the next thing will take you. And so those two examples are prime examples of I think not in its entirety staying true to who you are or true to the meaning and purpose and providing value and the truest authentic version of yourself. Because if you aren't those things and you achieve and you get all the money, there will still be a hole. There'll still be part of you that wants more. There'll still be part of you that goes, well, what now? Well, what do I do now? So it's about during the path, you have to stop. You have to take breaks. You have to take rest stops. You have to breathe. You have to analyze yourself. You have to self-reflect. You have, and for lack of better terms, I don't like using this sometimes, but you have to go inwards. You have to question yourself. You have to say, is this meant what I should be doing? Is this meant for me? Is this my truest authenticity? Is this my truest purpose? Am I providing value? Am I helping others? Or am I just putting on a caricature of myself? Am I putting on a mask because it's working, because it's getting money, because it's getting attention, because it's getting clicks? Is this what I'm doing? Or am I doing what is best in my soul? Am I doing what is best that I know to be? And that's a big question. And that's a question you have to take with yourself. That's a question you have to ask yourself repeatedly and constantly, and always be aware of that question. Because if you aren't, you're going to get to a point in your life that is filled with emptiness, that is filled with sadness, and that's when people lean on the alcohol or the drugs or way of drowning out that feeling. That's why people get older in life and they have the despair and their life has been built up and they have the hardships and the experiences, but they never internally reflected along the way. They never really took that inventory of what's going on, what they want to do, and that's when the sadness and the drugs and the suppression of those feelings comes at the end or at the other side of the life and the experiences, because there was no inward reflection upon the way. So that's a core principle we're going to take out of this show. And I think that's a very, very, very important principle and question to constantly ask yourself with whatever you're doing in life. As well as very dramatic water break. Very, very, very dramatic water break. But I think with authenticity, and this word it's becoming a little played out now, but if the true meaning of authenticity, and if you look at, I think there's a scale of like, what is the most powerful emotion that you can live in? And maybe if I ask you that question, I mean, I gave it away, but you might say love, or you might say like loyalty, or one of these, but it's actually authenticity. When you are your most authentic version of yourself, your truest form of who you are, that's when you are at your peak. That's when you're at your most power and your most influence, and those around you will feel that because you're not hiding anymore. You're not hiding behind closed doors. You're not one version here, one version there. You're not one version in front of someone, one version in front of another one. You are you at all times, and you're secure in that, and that's who you are. And I think authenticity it's an incredibly undervalued trait in our society. I don't think, due to a lot of the incentives and the incentivizations of a lot of things, due to clicks and views and going viral and going mainstream and getting attention, all of these things, you're usurping your own authenticity to get those things. You're usurping that authenticity to get the clicks, to get the virality. And another example I'll give for the authenticity, if you look at someone like Logan Paul, if you look at someone like Bryce Hall, these guys that were the TikTok influencers when TikTok was booming in 2019, 2020 in the pandemic, they were sitting there with their shirts off, dancing, doing TikTok trends to these little dances, and now they have to live with that for the rest of their life. They have to look back at what they got known for, at what they got popular for, and they have to live with this moment that like, what was that? Like, what were we doing? And the answer to that is they were going viral. They were getting money. They were getting attention. Those were the things that they were getting out of whatever those little viral dances were. That's what they were getting. That's what the trade-off was. And now the trade-off now is that they have to live that they did that, and that's what a lot of people know them for. And with Logan Paul, if you go look at his old videos, it's the exact same thing. He, as a younger version of himself, he became the jester. He became the town clown. He became the clown, the circus, and everywhere he went was a circus, and he made the fool of himself. And the trade-off for him being the fool was the attention, was the clicks, was the virality, was the money, the attention. And that's what the trade-off was for him being the fool and making him the butt of every joke. And now it's in the process of years going on, it's trying to rebrand. It's trying to overcome what they did to get the attention, to get the influence. And that part of them, I'm sure, haunts them a little bit. No matter how strong they may be in saying, no, there's no part of that haunts me. I'm sure there's part of them that goes, yeah, if I had to do it again, maybe I wouldn't have done that. But that's up to them. But I think that those are good examples to say, in authenticity, in trying to achieve becoming the influencer, becoming the streamer, the YouTuber, it's when you are authentic, when you are talking about what you're most interested in or most passionate about, your true loves in this world, what are those things? And really, really dwell on those things. What are you interested in? What captivates your mind? What keeps you up at night thinking about? What sort of things, when you're doing that activity, you get lost in time? You remember when you're a kid and you're out playing and you're lost in time? There's no regard for what time it is, and you're just playing because that's all that matters is the play. Think about when you feel that way, when you feel that you're just playful and you're loving what you're doing, and there's no amount of stressors, no amount of other exterior things are corrupting that feeling of playfulness and joy, and in that moment, whatever that is, whatever those interests are, that's authenticity. That's what you take and you create with and you present to the world, because that's where you'll find meaning and purpose, and ultimately you'll never get bored. You'll never get bored. You'll never view it as a job, because it's not a job at that point. You're doing what you love to do. You're talking about what you love to talk about, and that's a core message. That's a great message, because even sometimes when I think about doing the show, I don't think of it as work. There hasn't been a moment yet that it's been thought about as work, that I have to sit down and this is going to feel like work or this is going to feel like a job. It feels like fun. It feels like fun. There's creative aspects, there's artistic aspects, there's setting up the lighting and the cameras and trying to get perfection, but sometimes I get lost in doing that. I get lost in the process, and there's always more ideas, and I sit down and talk, and naturally good messages come out, good ideas come out, and that's when I can sit and reflect and go, okay, yeah, that's something I really enjoy doing. That's something I'm really interested in. So that's something I should pursue. That's the beam of light. That's the light tower in the ocean, or the lighthouse in the ocean, casting the light of where I should pursue. And that's where you head. As well as some stories of authenticity that I think is interesting. There is someone in one of my PEP groups, one of the psychosis groups, and he's very, very open. He's unapologetic. He shares what's on his mind. And I think when someone can do that, when someone can sit and they're not embarrassed of their past, or they're not ashamed of their past, and they can just talk freely, talk openly, and even there's an element of humor to it. They're okay with being laughed at. There's no anger in people finding some of the stories funny. That right there gives a level of openness. It allows those around you it allows breathing room for them to look at that and go, wow, he can share his story. He can talk about these things. He's not ashamed of these things. I can do that as well. I think I enjoy doing that as well. I'm going to get out of my comfort zone a little bit and share some of those things as well. So if you are authentic and you can overcome some of those insecurities and negative opinions that are floating out there, you can then step into your authentic self and allow not only for yourself to share stories, you allow breathing room for others around you to share stories and be even more authentic to themselves. So if that's not a worthwhile pursuit to do it for yourself, do it for others. Do it because it will help those around you as well, not only yourself. And if you can help others in any way possible, there will always be meaning in that. I promise. There will always be a level of fulfillment in helping others, without a doubt in my mind. And this idea came from when I was sitting in the garage the other day with my family. And especially amongst family, when you can be so open, we were sharing stories and we're just talking about whatever, and we ended up for a large part of the conversation talking about stories of my past and some of the mental health stories, some of the psych ward stories, some of the crazy stories, and they're quite fascinating. They're quite funny. They're quite humorous. But in so sharing those and being open to sit in that atmosphere of reliving those memories and reliving those moments, my sister's boyfriend started sharing some stories as well from himself, or my sister started sharing stories. And I think when, like I said earlier, when you have this level of comfort in your own past or in your own traumas, and you can share them and not allow it to emotionally impact you negatively, other people can do it as well, because they see that you can do it, and they see the atmosphere, they feel more comfortable in the atmosphere, and then they do it for themselves as well. So I think that's a very interesting point. But back to action. Action creates clarity. In the simplest terms is that you can sit and you can plan until your hand is blue from writing the plans and the steps and the blueprint. But until you take action, it will never come to fruition. Until you decide that today is the day, or this is the moment that I start doing those things, that those dreams, those aspirations, those goals will never be attainable. They'll never be in your grasp until you attack. You have to attack your goals. You attack the mission. You attack your dreams. You can't just sit around and hope your dreams come true. You're the one that has to put words into action and do those things. Take the steps. Do the right things. Or even a smaller example I can give is when you are, say there's a task you want to do and you're sitting in bed or whatever it is. Say maybe you have to do your laundry and you're just sitting in bed and you're like, I don't want to do my laundry. I hate doing laundry. Give yourself a countdown. This is what I do. I give myself a countdown. I go 3, 2, 1. And then when you hit 1, you have to get up. You have to get up and you have to start going and do the thing. You can't just give yourself the countdown and not do it. You have to give yourself the countdown. 3, 2, and these seconds may be long. You might go really slow. You might go 3, 2, because you really don't want to do it. But once you hit 1, you do it, no matter what. And I took this from Steve-O. I saw this in one of the clips that Steve-O talked about this, that with any of the pranks they were going to do, with any of the things he was nervous about doing or scared of doing, he said he gave himself a countdown of 3 seconds, and he always did it. And he never, ever backed out from a 3-second countdown. So I took that knowledge, I took that wisdom from Steve-O, and I said, I can apply that to anywhere in my life. And I think that's something you can apply is attack the mission, attack the goals. And another idea is there was a Michael Jackson interview, and he's talking about his creative process. He's talking about when he creates music and if he gets inspiration. And he said it was about him being awake in the middle of the night. It was like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and he was working on a song, and he said, if I don't do this now, Prince will get it. And what he meant by that is, if he's not working now, those ideas or those thoughts that are in the ether, those 1 in a million, 1 in a billion ideas or moments or musical notes, whatever it is, if he's not actively attacking the mission or the problem and making his dreams a reality and putting into action, if he's not doing, someone is. And someone will take what he's doing. Someone will take that moment from him. So that was his message, that if I'm not doing this right now, or if I'm not doing this at this moment, Prince will take it from me. So that's a very fascinating mindset that Michael Jackson talked about as well. So it's really, if you want to succeed, if you want to achieve, there's only a certain amount of eyeballs in this world. There's only a certain amount of clicks and attention and money to go around in this world. Well, that's questionable with inflation and printing money. But anyways, if you want to attain that, if you want to grab it, you're the one that has to go and attack and get it. You're the one who has to go and collect it for yourself, or else it will go in the hands of someone else. So keep that in mind when you are attacking your pursuits and goals. And the last thing I'll hit on is when you think about doing something or think about a new path in life or a new career, the path appears as you walk. The path appears as you start to walk the path. And you may only know what the first step looks like. You may only have an idea for the first step, but once you take that first step, the next step appears, and the next step appears, and the next step appears. But it's about being willing and being courageous enough and vulnerable enough to take the first step. Because after the first step is taken, that's when the path starts to show itself. And you may veer off course. There may be barriers, there may be trees, there may be an ocean in the way of your path, whatever it is. But you will always find new steps, and the path will come to light as you begin to start walking it. So the summary and the last message I'll leave you with is taking the first step and starting on the journey. So then the rest of the path will appear as you go. And I think that's ultimately the most fun part about doing something, a creative pursuit or going off the beaten path, is that the path starts to show itself and illuminate itself as you begin to walk. And I think that's kind of a beautiful message in its own right. And I'll share with some of the things I've done in the process of fast onslaught. I have like I have like a couple more minutes, and I'll answer whatever questions you have. Thanks for hanging out, though. I appreciate that. I'll read everything you said. Some of the things I'll share. Some of the things I've done is that. So after being hospitalized in 2018 and going through mania and psychosis, I was working a factory job. And for many years, between 2018 and now, I worked night shift. I worked the graveyard shift in a factory back in the shipping department, pretty much all alone for a lot of time. But outside of that, I was trying different things. I was constantly doing different things. I tried jiu-jitsu. I tried rock climbing. I was really into running. I was really into weightlifting. I really got really into skipping. Or I would try maybe some more creative aspects, doing journaling, doing meditating, reading, whatever it is. But in so trying different things, this is when you discover what you actually are really passionate about, what you're actually really interested in. And even in more of a normal pipeline, I was contemplating ideas about being a personal trainer or being some sort of personal coach, a personal life coach. Or I was considering going to trade school and doing something in that pipeline. But if I wasn't actively pursuing things, if I just sat around at the factory and succumb or succumb, whatever, that's a weird word and it sounds weird. But if I came to the mercy of that job and I just sat there and allowed that to be my life and accepted that as my life, I would have never found this stage or this platform to do this show. I would have just been at the graveyard shifts in the middle of the night alone, working at the factory until I blew my brains out at 40 years old. That would have been my life if I didn't actively chase new things or try new hobbies. And even in from 2018 till now, there was 7 hospitalizations. There was time of depression, time of despair, times of great enthusiasm and mania and this overabundance of joy and passion for things. But there was the highs and lows, there was the ebbs and flows. But in doing all of that and trying new things and life taking me in many directions is where I would say I ended up miraculously at this and doing this. And I am very grateful that I ended up doing this or found joy in doing this. As a kid, I would have never said, yeah, when I get older, I'm going to be a talk show host. That would have never have been my conceptualization of what I was going to become. I was always going to be a hockey player. I was always going to play in the NHL. So to end up doing something like this, it just kind of shows you how fascinating and how interesting life is and some of the places it will take you in life, because ultimately life will take you to places and lengths of the earth that you'll never dream of, and that's the whole beauty of life. So with that being said, that will be that segment of the show, and we will sign off on that. Fast Dante, is that what your name is? No worries for spamming. I'm gonna go back and read some of your stuff now. Are you recording or something? Some kind of teaching session? Yeah. So for my shows, I try to bring in like whatever topics I'm going to talk about for the first little while. So I post these to YouTube as well after, and then I kind of just go around on the internet or answer questions, whatever after. So I'm trying to read through your chats here. To be honest, one can perfectly juggle 3 masks. The only condition is don't effing stream 24/7. Don't stream 24/7. That's good. You can't be authentic in front of thousands or hundreds of people. You simply can't. I disagree with that. You can 100% be authentic in front of the entire world. 100% you can. Honestly, if considering I'm sitting alone in my bedroom and a camera, it gives a level of it severs this layer of, it makes it so intimate, and it does feel like I'm alone. It feels like, and when I'm talking, I try to talk as if I'm talking to a younger version of myself. So in that sense, I do think you can be authentic in front of lots of people. I'm fascinated, though. I'm down to talk. Okay, I hear you, but I would never be able to do that. It takes a certain personality to do that. Yeah, I wouldn't say you would never be able to do it. I mean, if it's for you, if it's something you would enjoy doing, maybe you could do it. But if it's something you don't enjoy doing, if you don't enjoy talking, if you don't enjoy sharing your ideas, I think it'll be hard to then present well. Fast Dante. Thanks for hanging out, though. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. You're one of the few streamers, or one of the few viewers I get. So it's pretty interesting. When did you say Goggins? Goggins speaks of this. What did Goggins say? I've seen a lot of Goggins stuff. I've watched a lot of his interviews, and I do think he is the core fundamentals of his messages are really good for young guys. But to the point in which, and this is like a subtle critique, I would say, to the point in which like he's overcoming some of the pain in essentially like crippling himself to run every day. I don't think there's wisdom in that. I don't think it shows toughness to cripple yourself and end up in a wheelchair and paralyzed by 60 because ultimately you couldn't restrain yourself. I don't think there's a message to do that. What did I study? I didn't study anything. I didn't go to college. High school, baby. High school, that's where we went. High school all day. Don't read all of what I said. Some of it was... Wait, you're only impressed because I didn't go to school? You're only impressed because I didn't go to school? You weren't impressed to begin with? Come on. That's funny. That's funny. No, you don't need to go to school to get knowledge. Well, no, I deducted a couple of things. What did you deduce? Okay? What were your deductions? Let me know. No, you don't need to go to school to get knowledge. Knowledge is in the ether. Knowledge is in the air. You just have to reach out and grab it. This is how I attain knowledge. I sit like this, and I close my eyes like a guru, and I let information pour into my brain and into my soul. Partially, you have to read a little bit. I prefer in terms of learning. I religiously listened to podcasts for about 5 years. That was the only consumption of the internet I did. I just listened to podcasts all day, or like audiobooks. Well, no, I know you're a Canadian, so you're less corrupted in a sense. I can't explain it with my feeble European mind. I think you read a lot. European mind. Oh, where are you from? I am Canadian. Can you hear it? Come on. I don't speak Canadian, eh? I sound like an American. Got the American accent. Where do you live in Europe? This mug. I should have brought out the Santa mug. I've got some Santa mugs. You said a boot once. God, it gave it away. One a boot gave it away. Now I'm gonna be conscious of that. They'll never slip again. Because you said that, I'll be weary. I'll be weary for the abouts and the aboots. Where do you live in Europe? That's interesting that you said I'm less corrupted because I live in Canada. I think that's the wrong interpretation of Canada, my friend. I think you are wrong. I think we are more corrupted than America by a lot. Also, you've been in one way or another in contact with some kind of institution or help group, so you're probably pretty empathetic. Yeah, I've been to a psychiatric ward 7 times. So I do think people who go through some sort of trauma or difficulties in their life tend to want to help others because they feel their pain. They can understand what other people are going through on some sort of deeper level. So I'd agree. Empathy. Okay, let's go and browse some things. I think that went well, though. I think that little section of the show was good. Oh, you're from Belgium. That's cool. Brussels, Belgium. Is that in Belgium? Is Brussels in Belgium? Isn't that where the European Union is? It is housed out of is Belgium, and I saw statistics that said something like United Nations HQ. I saw something that said it was something absurd that said like 85% of youth under the age of 18 in Belgium are like of non-European descent, so they're all immigrants. I'm sure you could speak on that better than me, but that was crazy statistic. Europe is changing. Europe is going through changes. Going through major changes. As are all of the countries. I think it was Belgium that had that statistic, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go and read Mad in America. Let's see what they got up today. Let's see if there's anything interesting. Mad in Brussels, it's about 65 to 75%, but not necessarily youth. Okay. Isn't like the majority of Europe right now getting flooded with immigrants? It is. Yeah. So is Canada. So is Australia. Since like 2020, Canada has like 5 million immigrants. and we're set on a track to get 1 million immigrants a year. Canada wants 100 million population by the year 2100, and 5 years ago our population was 35 million. So it's quite interesting. It's quite an interesting time. I meant no offense when I said I was surprised. It was more of a compliment. Nah, it's all good. No offense taken, my friend. No offense taken. No, I have some strong beliefs, and I feel that education has been corrupted quite a lot, quite significantly. And it's not to say that like going to school to be a doctor or a lawyer or a nurse or a dentist or like fundamental things that you need the schooling for. That makes a lot of sense. But a lot of the other, like, I don't even know what they would be called. I didn't go to school, but like liberal arts and gender studies and like this sort of thing, I think is just nonsense. And I think school is kind of a breeding ground for ideologies at this point. So I steered clear of it. I steered clear of it. Let's go to see their art section. Let's go see if there's any cool art. The arts. There she is. I should practice my speech. I said I was going to practice my speech at the end of the shows. So at some point I should do that. For the university visit. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've never gone to school, but I'm going to talk in front of a school. Yeah, give a quote, please. I love quotes. I live vicariously through quotes. I think quotes are awesome. I'd love to hear your quote. Boom. Check that out. Look at this eyeball. It's a little creepy. I swear people with... And this is my thesis, okay? So stay with me. I think people that go through psychotic episodes or they become out of touch with reality, they have this fascination with eyeballs, as if like the eyeball is the window to the soul. But there's always in the art and in the depictions, or like people always have eyeballs. So it's like, it's kind of fascinating. It's kind of fascinating. Liberation of psyche. This one's creepy. This looks like XXX Tentation. That's who that looks like. Guess there's no real new ones. So I wonder how often they update this. I guess it's not often, since when I come, it's a lot of the same stuff. That's why in my Discord I want an art section that people just pump art into, because I think it's the best art in the world. Like, what is that? Head on a platter? Would you like some... Excuse me, sir. Would you like some head on a platter? Oh, of course. That would be my favorite. That is my favorite dish. Brunette or blonde? I prefer redhead on a platter, if I'm being honest. You've quite the exquisite taste buds. Yeah, that was a joke. That was a joke. Neither possessed nor insane. Upside down cross. Interesting. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for purpose in life, meaning, ikage, and whatnot. Ikage? Isn't ikage like... That's Japanese. What is the definition of ikage? I don't remember. Something to do with the way of life? The quote, I just want to do things I kind of enjoy until I eventually die. Ooh, that's a good quote. That's a good quote. Hey, if you're doing anything you kind of enjoy, that's probably more than what most people have in this world. So that's an amazing quote. Till I eventually die. Till I eventually die. And as someone who has struggled finding purpose, a job that aligns with my views or ambitions, strengths, etc., I find solace in that quote. Yeah, I'm gonna assume you're male. I don't know if you're male or female, but I'm sure you've probably heard the quote like most men live lives of quiet desperation, and the quote kind of hits on that we, the men, live in the trenches to do the dirty work, and the quiet desperation part just kind of speaks for itself. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I like your quote. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing that. Um, Harvard's newest Health and Human Rights Issues features a special section dedicated to institutional corruption in human rights and mental health. Oh. Oh, I got warm. I got warm. See, this is where, after I do my spiel of when I talk about stuff, or when I have actual information to talk about, eventually, at some point here, I'll have people to talk with, like my friend here, Fast Don't Lie. I don't fast don't lie. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I don't know. I was struggling with that. Fast don't lie. So then we can bounce ideas off of. Do you have any other quotes that you like? Share some more quotes with me. Want to go quote for quote? Go band for band, but quote for quote? I just want to do things I kind of enjoy until I eventually die. Ikage is a book. That's how I've seen it before. It has has the Japanese Sakura. It's a book. I believe. Yeah, this is it. That's where I've seen it before. The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life. Have you read this? You can't beat me. I want you to win too. Have you read this book? You can't beat me. I want you to win too. Huh. So is the quote saying that you can't be beat because you want others to win as well, despite what they may do to you? You can't beat me. I want you to win too. Or is it just saying you want them to beat you? Now we're getting philosophical. We're getting philosophical on them. Talking about Japanese philosophy? Are you kidding me? Ikige. Let's see what Reddit's saying. Let's go to psychosis. It kind of means that a lot of men are, in particular, are very competitive. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Oh. Ooh. The neck. Neck's getting sore. I need to go for a walk after this. I need to go outside. Been pent up in the room. Pent up in the room. So this girl, we can watch the video. Actually, so what I was going to say is, machismo. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's, usually way too competitive or just not necessary. But it's in the DNA. It's in the instinctual to to be the leader of the tribe or to have your seed live on, I think is where that competitiveness comes from. Because in more tribal ancient times, the top of the hierarchy, and actually this goes for today too, this hasn't changed, but top of the hierarchy, the male with the most status and influence and money gets all the women, so then their DNA, they live on. It's when authentic forms an obstacle. Yeah, but it doesn't mean you can't be authentic and still climb the ladder. Look at Kanye West. Would you say Kanye West wasn't authentic? I would say Kanye West is like one of the prime examples of authenticity. How many Kanyes are there? I don't know, you're looking at one. How many Kanyes are there? 1 in a billion? So does that make 8? Who are the other 7? Who are the other 6? It's tough to say. It's tough to say. Yeah, there's got to be more examples of people who are like super authentic that make it to the top. And the fact that we have to think over more examples is kind of sad. And when I think of like people that are complete authentic and still like very popular, well known, or have a lot of influence, it'd be like trying to think what their strategic tactics are for like what they really want in life is kind of what makes them authentic or not. So I'd say it'd probably have to be like artists. Probably artists, because political figures always want some sort of thing. They have some sort of underlying message or whatever they're trying to attain or push, so they need to wear some sort of mask, I would say. So it must be artists. Artists are the ones. But can it be actors? No, I don't think so, because they put the mask on. Mac Miller, come to think of it. Okay. Mac Miller, I like that one. XXX Tentacion. Keanu Reeves, Robin Williams. Robin Williams. I don't think Robin Williams was able to be authentic. So I ended up committing suicide. He struggled with some of that. Jim Carrey. Think about like artists who die young. The ones that come to mind are like rappers and that, who are just like 50 Cent. 50 Cent just seems like he's him all the time. Does whatever he wants. Takes bullets for it. Yeah, it is very rare. You are correct. You are correct indeed. It is rare. Okay, let's go. I wanted that. Kind of. I needed that still. Whatever. Shoulda, woulda, done. What is this? A relaxing reflection session. Should we check it out? It's got music though. I don't want to get oh, it's lo-fi though. I don't think I'll get copyright striked. I don't want to risk it. Shoulda, woulda. I've been watching a lot of X.
اسمي جارة من الصحراء وأنا أيضا لم أتعرف اسمك. ما اسمك؟
Sasuke Uchiha. Il mio nome è Gara. Adesso tocca a te. Su, avanti, dimmi chi sei. Qual è il tuo nome?
Io mi chiamo Sasuke Uchiha.
Je m'appelle Gara, du désert.
Je m'appelle
Moi aussi,
Gara.
je veux connaître ton nom. Qui es-tu?
Je m'appelle Sasuke Uchiwa. 砂漠のガーラ。
I don't know why that came out. That's funny. But anyways, the point is it's rare. I thought I had while you were doing your spiel. I thought I had while you're doing. I speak Flemish, but also French. What is Flemish? What language is Flemish? That's not a language. Flemish. It's like Dutch. Oh, how cool. You speak French? Oh, I guess you probably... Most Europeans are bilingual, or it's Dutch, but it's Belgian Dutch. Belgian Dutch. How fascinating. So how many languages do you speak? How many languages? I mean, here in Canada, our languages are English and French, but I don't know any French. Dutch from the Flemish region in Belgium. Here we go.
At the end, it's only going to get weirder. The level of contradiction is going to rise excruciatingly, even beyond the excruciating present levels of contradiction. So I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. And at that point, novelty theory can come out of the woods, because eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
What's novelty theory? Don't Google it. Our country is... Terrence. Yeah, you like Terrence? Dude, Terrence is the best. Terrence is awesome. Terrence McKenna. What a mind. What a mind he was. Novelty theory is a fringe but influential idea most associated with Terrence McKenna. In simple terms, it claims that time has a direction, and that direction is toward increasing novelty, more complexity, faster change, and more unexpected events. Here's the clean breakdown. Core idea. As time moves forward, the universe produces more novelty and less habit. Habit equals repetition, stability, cycles, predictability. Novelty equals creativity, complexity, surprise, mutation, new forms. McKenna argued that history isn't random. It accelerates, compressing more change into shorter periods. McKenna used the I Ching, an ancient Chinese text based on 64 hexagrams, to create a mathematical model called time wave zero. Kind of holds up in these times when you say, oh, it sure does. I watched, what he talks about in that specific interview, anyways, when he's sitting outside. Some of his predictions he talking about the fire in the madhouse as humans ascend for the stars and things getting so weird that we have to talk about it, and the ideas of AI, and yeah, he nailed it. He nailed all of it. He's awesome. He is awesome. He was talking about in one video, it was super fascinating, but he used like particle accelerators as the example, and I'm going to butcher it, but it was essentially that like technology from the future leaks, it essentially like leaks into us in the present moment, and that's how we get these technological advancements, is that in the future whatever is happening is seeping into where we are now, and that's how we get this information. And it's such a fascinating idea. Oh, if you're gonna go watch Terrence McKenna, you're gonna be in a rabbit hole forever. The stuff there is endless. Not gonna lie, I tried DMT twice. You did? What was a DMT like? I could never. Literally because I don't think I would come back. I don't think I would come back to like the consciousness of understanding reality again. I think if my brain did that, it would you always come back from DMT. No, but I have, like, my brain has a predisposition to, like, altered states as it is already with mania and psychosis, that I don't think like even when I went through psychosis last time, it took me about 8 to 10 months before my brain was fully back in like this world. I would describe it as, it's like everything, all of the thoughts, all the ideas, all of like the societal norms, there was like holes in everything, and like the messaging, and it was super like transparent and like fluidity to consciousness and my ideas and things. And it took a long time before that like closed and went back to normal. So I don't think doing something like DMT would be great. Okay, maybe it does. I don't know. I'm sorry. No, it's all good. I do believe, I have this idea that when psychosis happens, essentially it's like we have DMT already in us. I think it's comes out of your liver. I think it comes out of... Where does it come out? I think it comes out of a body part. Lungs. DMT is found in the lungs, adrenal glands, some immune cells, and brain tissue. Yeah, essentially, I think that psychosis is like an excess of DMT exploding in the brain. And that's what happens. And that's why you have like hallucinations and delusions. That's kind of my thought. But if I were to compare it with LSD, mushrooms, or even weed, it doesn't compare. Because I don't touch that. It does. Not liver. The kidneys. The kidneys. It doesn't say kidneys here. It says the lungs. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, DMT is interesting. Yeah, Terrence is such an advocate for hallucinogenics. Every time he's talking in all of his speeches or any of his lectures, Terrence is just like, I think we need to do more mushrooms. I think people need to do more drugs. It's like, it's pretty funny. 5-methoxydimethyltryptamine. Pineal gland. It says so right there. Yeah, no, the pineal gland is right here. Your pineal gland, your third eye. 5-methoxydimethyltryptamine. That's quite the mouthful of words. The pineal gland releases DMT during birth, death, or dreams. Let's see. Does the pineal gland... That's the spelling, not good. Release DMT during psychosis. Short answer, there's no scientific evidence that the pineal gland releases DMT during psychosis. What science actually knows, DMT in the body. Humans can produce trace amounts of DMT. The enzymes needed to make it exist in several tissues. We do not have evidence of large releases during any mental state. Pineal gland. Its confirmed role in regulating melatonin, sleep-wake cycles. The idea that it releases DMT in meaningful moments, not demonstrated in humans, not measured during psychosis, no clinical data supporting it. Yeah, even though there's no clinical data, I still believe that's what happens. Animal research. In rats, DMT has been detected in brain tissue. This shows possibility, not proof. Animal data. Human mechanism is not the same. Because with psychosis, it's just like, where is this explosion of... Because you enter a different realm. You enter like spirit realms, or like a spirit-like state, and like communication with like the spirit realm, and delusions and hallucinations that are so strong and grandiose, or they're terrifying and frightening. But it's like, where is that coming from? So if we have the DMT in the brain and in the body that can, and that DMT is proven to correlate, and that is the main drug that can put you in these altered states, my thesis is that it would make sense that DMT is causing those crazy hallucinations and delusions and whatnot. I think it literally does not correlate. Yeah, I think it does. Do 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 do. I've done all of it, and it doesn't hold up to be in my same category as DMT. Sure, but have you gone through psychosis? Do 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 do. Does it? Spirit molecule. No, I haven't. I've had panic attacks though. It's also a book, by the way. What's the book called? Yeah, this is the interview. This is a great interview. Budo, Japanese Zen music for discipline, meditation, and inner strength. Those helmets are so cool. The whole outfit of the samurai. Absolute drip. Nature loves courage. Let's see what Terrence is saying here. The psychonaut. The psychonaut.
I keep going back to the...
You always see this image in like esoteric readings and all the, like, for example, the secret teachings of all ages from Manly P. Hall. You'll see this photo. You see it all over esoteric books.
This thing of can it be done? Because I want to convince you, because I'm so certain. I love Herman Melville and his rhetoric.
What book are you reading right now? Oh, the book is called The Spirit Molecule. Is the book called The Spirit Molecule? No, sorry, there are no paragraphs. It's full-on text from front to back. Here, let's see. I'm reading Yukoi Mishima's Sun and Steel. Oh, they just called DMT. Who's that? Is that Joe Rogan? Looks like it. This is, yeah, Rick Strassman. Rick Strassman talks a lot about this. I think Rick Strassman was the one that had, he had some sort of clinic opened that they were doing a ton of research with patients and DMT and stuff. I think it was Rick Strassman that had the clinic. Also, like Stanislav Grof had a clinic that was similar. Yeah, it is Strassman. 3 weeks ago, I smoked a little joint. Ever since I can read it. That's the key to reading.
And friends of the whale, bear with me. For Herman Melville, the whale was not the endangered creature it is today. It was the dark cosmic god of Christianity that haunts us and tries to pull us down. And there's a wonderful speech in Moby Dick where Starbuck, the first mate, you remember wimpy little Starbuck, he stood for Christian right reason. And he says to Captain Ahab, to seek revenge on a dumb brute seems blasphemy. And Ahab says...
Let's watch. Oh.
You can't transform yourself.
There's such a great Alan Watts video I'm going to try and find after this.
You can't make yourself sane. You can't make yourself loving. You can't make yourself unselfish.
Yeah, here, I'll type what my YouTube is. I think it's... This is what it looks like when you pull it up. This is what it looks like. Here's all the videos I've done so far. Check out the sub count. 19 subs. Let's go climbing. Yes, I hate that too. Usually when I go to bed, I listen to Alan Watts videos, and the majority of them, I feel like I come across AI, and it's so annoying. Because Alan Watts has like a very specific type of way he talks, and it's very soothing, and he draws you in. It's magnetic. But all the AIs they're a little different. There's a little subtlety that's different to them. Yeah, seriously. It's such a shame. Alan Watts is...
And yet it's absolutely necessary that we be that way. It's
Look at this guy, this little Billy Goat. He's the best.
Absolutely necessary. If we are going to hand over the direction of nature to nature, which is what it comes to, it's absolutely necessary that we let go of ourselves, and it can't be done. Not by anything that we call doing it, acting, willing, or even just accepting things. You can't do it. Why? Because you don't really exist as that kind of a separate ego or personality. It's just an idea based on a phony feeling.
I was about to type respond to you on the thing. He stopped for some reason. They're all going, oh, wow. I don't know what... So there must be... I mean, I don't want to get conspiratorial lensed. Do we have to... Is there a concerted effort to hide all of Alan Watts' work? All of his lectures because of what it does to people? Is that why it's all gone? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, his stuff is awesome to listen to. Just the... what do they call him? I think they call him a bodhisattva. Is Alan Watts a... I have no idea how to spell this. Bodhisattva? I think that's what he calls himself. Is not a bodhisattva in the literal Buddhist sense, but many people symbolically describe him that way, and here's why. What a bodhisattva actually is, classical Buddhism. In Mahayana Buddhism, a bodhisattva is someone who has awakened insight or is close to awakening, deliberately postpones final enlightenment, does so out of compassion to help all beings awaken, takes formal bodhisattva vows within a Buddhist framework. Why people call him a bodhisattva anyways. In a poetic and symbolic sense, people use the word bodhisattva to mean someone who wakes people up without claiming authority. By that meaning, Alan Watts fits uncannily well. Uncannily well. I'm 25. This video, also his son, but he stopped for some reason. They're all gone. Put on the soy blockers, the rawness, the Gita. I'm 25. How about you? How old? My new friend out of Belgium. Let's go back to that.
So when it comes down to it, it's shocking news for us, for the human race, for our pride. You're only making a mess by trying to put things straight. You're trying to straighten out a wiggly world, and no wonder you're in trouble. So you can't do anything. So you can't transform yourself. And what can you do? What happens then if you actually realize you've come to a dead end? And the human race has come to a dead end, in my opinion. What then? Commit suicide? Or is there something else? What happens when you just wait? There's nothing you can do. You watch. And all you see is what goes on that is happening of itself. You're breathing, the wind is blowing, the trees are waving, your blood is circulating, Your nerves are tingling. It's all going on of itself. But you know, that's you. That's the real you. The you that goes on of itself. It's not the symbol. It's not the person. It's you that's happening, as when you breathe. Yes, you can get the feeling that I am breathing by shoving your breath, but your breath goes on day in and day out without your doing anything about it or even thinking of it. The same way your brain is functioning without your...
I remember Alan Watts talking about, he talks about it a lot, but I think it's the Japanese Zen way of the traditional Japanese tea ceremony. And I think that's so fascinating to have, and it's very, very specific in each and everything you do, that it's essentially you're in the moment of being precise with every action, every movement, with everything, how it goes. And I really want to go to Japan and study Japanese tea ceremony. I really want to do that. That's one thing I want to do in my life, is go and do the Japanese tea ceremony and learn how to do it in the proper form. Wu Wei. Yes. Wu Wei. Yes. That's it. Oh, thank you for the compliment, my friend. It's a very nice compliment. Wu Wei. Yeah, it sounds so cool when yeah, Japanese culture is so cool, I think. And I think yeah, they're dialed in. That's a perfect way to put it. But they are at the problem they're having is that they're so dialed in that everyone, whatever they choose to do, whether that's making sushi or ramen noodles or pizza, whatever the craft is that they decide to do over there, they become masters. They invest everything, all of their time and attention and decades of knowledge and wisdom goes into perfecting the craft. And that's gone on with every aspect of Japanese culture. It's kind of what I see from the outside. So I'd like to experience it from within the walls. So I think it'd be cool to go over there and see that. Salaryman. What's salaryman? Is it in terms of, is that the high suicide rates and stuff? Yeah, is it something about just European culture and the Western world that loves the Japanese? I mean, maybe not so much the Americans, but they dropped 2 sons on them, so they can't be too mad at them. And I've watched every second of it because of the craftsmanship, dedication. Yeah, it's just something that we're missing in our society. In the Western world, we miss that dedication to the craft, that craftsmanship, that level of detail. And I think we yearn for it so much because, I mean, you guys have them over in Europe, but the cathedrals, and that's what that was. That was passed down generational knowledge to a thing that you're building and crafting in, and really having God in mind when you're doing it and building it for a bigger purpose. And I think that's they have that in a sense. And I've watched every second. Oh no, it's just number. How are the cathedrals? Are the cathedrals cool? I've never traveled. I've never traveled anywhere. I've never been on vacation. I only view through the internet. The Gothic cathedral looks so cool. Also, I wonder how many of those were destroyed during World War I and World War II. How many cathedrals? Or was it was it an agreement that whenever the wars are going on throughout Europe, was it just an unwritten rule? Hey, don't destroy the cathedrals. We can't build those anymore. They are in fact crazy, some of them. Yeah. Yeah, you guys probably have a lesser of a desire, or because they're around. But to me, I've never seen a cathedral like that. Oh, they bombed the shit out of Europe? Oh, that sucks to hear. Even like the cool stuff? Like, come on. Does humanity have no sanctuary for the craft? For these things? For the artistic? Look up. Oh, I don't want to see it. It'll hurt my soul. I don't want to do it. I don't want to look at. I don't want to look. Oh, good spelling of cathedrals. Cathedrals. I don't want to see it. Oh, it's brutal. Like, that is so cool. What? That's real? In Canada, we have nothing like this. Well, I don't think anyways. Like, what? Are you kidding me? I don't see... Come on. Come on, humanity. Where's the soul? That's not real. That's AI. That one's so cool. Yeah, so the sole purpose that I want to travel to Europe is to go check out cathedrals. This is one of the only reasons I want to go to Europe, is to go check out these buildings. They actually finished El Sagrada Familia this year. What's it called? Actually finished last Barcelona. Oh, that's a great picture. Yo, what? That looks fake. That doesn't even look real. That's so cool. So pretty. So pretty. How did we get sidetracked? How did we get on cathedrals? I thought we were watching Alan. I started talking about Wu Wei. We started talking about Wu Wei. The people there will rob me. Yeah. Yeah, you guys have knife problems. It's 100% real. Western. Yeah, I know that you guys have real robbers, and due to the immigrants and everything. They're gonna rob me. I got nothing on me.
Forcing it. So when you come to a dead end, and we are individually and socially now in 1971 at a dead end, this is the moment of which it is said man's extremity is God's opportunity. Because we have to stop. And when we stop, we find a world that is happening rather than being done, being shoved. And that happening, as distinct from doing, is our fundamental self. And our fundamental self is not something just inside the skin. It's everything around us with which we connect. When you look out of your eyes at nature happening out there, you're looking at you. I'm not going to say what we should do from then on, but simply that before we think of doing anything in this critical situation, we realize the complete...
Yeah, I like Ram Dass too. Ram Dass is awesome. Ram Dass. There's a video, I think it's yeah, there's a video there in Czech Republic. Yeah, it's this. This was an awesome conversation. If you ever
Imagine being able to
if you ever want to go and listen to this. He just sits here with the beads slowly, one bead after the other. I think they're in Czech Republic here. In Prague. Yo, look at the drip. Look at the drip on Terrence. Come on. I'll join you, Terrence. Come on.
Global crisis. And it's fitting that we should meet in this, the capital of ancient Bohemia. For Prague and Bohemia have always stood for intellectual innovation, chance taking.
I guess I spend a lot of time watching these stuff, so this is what my algorithm is geared to.
And the life of ideas. In the Jugendstil...
No, you're not keeping me. I'm just hanging out. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate your commentary. I appreciate it. It's fun. It's fun to talk to people about stuff you're interested in, that they're also interested in. So it's cool. It's been fun.
Splendor of one of Prague's most famous concert halls, we
corner
the market on being thick in crap.
Yeah, but I'm talking about somebody like a Ramana Maharshi or somebody like that.
Oh, well, these people.
I mean, there are people.
Sure, but the idea is not to come up with something that the best among us can make hay with, but a democratic, something which addresses the species. The thing that seemed to me so important about the psychedelic experience was that it happened.
Alan Watts died 52 years ago.
I wasn't reading John Chrysostom or Meister Eckhart. Exactly. Of course, those guys.
Right on. It happened to me. It happened to me. Yes.
And so I assume that I am a very ordinary person. Therefore, if it happened to me...
Yeah, it's an interview of Terrence and Ram Dass. How cool. Terrence is always throwing out big words.
It could happen to anyone, and that's really
questionable.
something.
There's a set of assumptions there. One, that you're a very ordinary person, and whether the same chemical given to a dozen people would bring about 11 other people like
Similar
this, and I think it would be the outcome would be very different. And that's I keep getting cast into an evolution of consciousness model about individuals, because there's such marked individual differences as to 3 people come before my guru, one completely goes, and the other 2 get a chapati.
I'll save this one. One should never assume, because you're making an ass out of you and me. Ram Dass. I'll save this so you can watch it. But this one's awesome. This is my favorite Alan Watts. I think they're called kimonos. How do you spell kimono? I think kimono is like for judo and jiu-jitsu. Yes. This video is the best. This is the best video on the internet by far.
When I was a boy in London, I used to love to visit the British Museum. And in the neighborhood of the museum, there are a number of old shops, some of them I think dating from the end of the 18th century. And on the inscription over the shop window, it said that they sold philosophical instruments.
Check out when he starts. He just goes into description of clothing and... Yeah, there it is.
Just as respectable, just as proper, just as demure, and instead of this...
Just as demure. Alan was using demure before it came popular. Alan was using the word demure way back then.
Come on, like this. Which is the Japanese kimono. As worn...
The goat.
So much in modern times.
Look at the drip.
50 years ago, by all Japanese gentlemen. Now this is one of the most extraordinary garments ever made. To begin with, it's completely comfortable. You feel absolutely relaxed underneath it. Nothing is restricting you anywhere.
You're stealing demure?
Tremendous.
Means you're happy and unbothered? Well, there you go. You're winning. There's no competition. White boy culture appropriating and getting away with it. Dude, Alan Watts can get away with anything he wants. Dude, when you have this level of charisma and drip and the way of the wu-wei, come on.
Capacious sleeves, which are immense pockets into which you can put anything you want. I mean, you know, you can put your wallet in there and pipe and tobacco and cigarettes and money, anything you want. And you also can put things in here. And then it's quite proper for you to carry a fan. And when the weather's too hot, you can just cool yourself off. And this outward garment here is a coat for cooler weather or for rather proper occasions.
He figured out the rules of the game.
It's called the haori. You can take the haori off and just wear what's underneath, and you see more or less the same.
Check out this fit.
With the big sleeves and the enormous pockets.
Where's the next one?
And I want you to know,
boom.
John, when he gets home, he takes a very hot bath in an enormous tub where practically all the family can sit together. It's a wonderful institution. But if you're a real man, you don't need to show that at all. All you need to do to find out... Here's something else altogether.
He's so funny without even trying. Just him, like, being himself and, like, in the kimono, just dripped out, talking about the comfortability and the usefulness, the practicality of the kimono. It's so funny.
This is the ancient Greek chlamys. C-H-L-A-M-Y-S. A long linen garment that has come down to us in modern times through the Roman Catholic Church in the form of what is called an alb, which a priest wears at Mass. Only he puts it on over his ordinary suit, or he takes off the coat, and he puts on a long, heavy black garment called a cassock, which is a kind of a wretched thing. And then he puts this extra suit of clothes over it. But any sensible priest in celebrating Mass would take off all his clothes underneath and simply wear his underpants and his chlamys, which is his alb. And then this thing here is a hood, which you can pull up over your head. And,
wait. Before he throws the hood up, is he gonna look like a Ku Klux Klan member? Is he gonna?
I won't do it now. It's a bit of a nuisance, but...
put the hood on. Come on, Alan. Why do you gotta tease us like that? You're naughty. You're gonna tease us with the hood?
Makes a comfortable thing around the neck, catches the sweat. It's
the
called
hood.
An amice. Amictia in Latin. But this is what men in our Western world commonly wore back in about, I should say, 400 BC and onwards in Greece.
Oh, you've seen this video before?
They wore the toga in Rome, which was a somewhat more inconvenient garment because you had to throw it over you, and all those things are always dropping down and falling off. But this is extremely comfortable and very convenient. Stones on it, and by taking simply a perfectly square piece of cloth. Without, all you have to do is hem it. You don't have to fit it in any way, and cut a slit in it like that. You see? And then you have a casula, a little tent, and I can get into it like that. Let me pull this outside.
This was therapy during
You see,
COVID.
without any tailoring or fitting.
Dude, these videos of like Terrence McKenna, Alan Watts, these kind of guys. I go back to them all the time. It's like a grounding. They have a grounded mindset and approach to the world that I think we're really missing. We're really missing that kind of approach that they had.
You would once have a really very dignified and becoming garment.
Mm-hmm.
And these things are of enormous use. You can wear them with anything. They keep you beautifully warm, especially if you make them out of some heavy material. This one happens to be made out of camel's
Look
hair.
at this one.
All the outlandish garments which I've shown you, the most outlandish is the Philippine sarong. My Japanese friends of modern times, objecting to the kimono, said, well, you can't run for a bus in a kimono. All right.
Kimono.
You sure run for a bus in a Philippine sarong, because it gives you complete freedom of your legs. Right up. Either way. Because you see, it's essentially a divided skirt, very floppy, made of cotton, and it wraps around your waist, and you
He's not trying to be funny at all. He's not trying to be funny.
tuck it in, and you can secure it with a safety pin. And over it, you simply wear a colorful shirt. I don't know whether this matches very good, but at any rate, one just sees how many different jazzy things you can put together. But this, the sarong with variations is worn all over South Asia. But this particular Philippine design with the divide is the most comfortable, the most elastic that I've ever discovered. And I do not know.
I like the human aspect of the lectures when you can hear the people like cough and laugh. Yeah, I think it's a great element.
Any more comfortable form of dress in the world than this. Now the thing is, you can make it of any material.
Does he got any more?
You can make this same thing out of heavier materials, say out of worsted, out of silk, in order to be warm in cold weather, and have a completely comfortable and I think reasonably dignified form of clothing. Well, now, what is the problem with this? What's the problem with Western man and even Western woman? That they dress so damned uncomfortably. I've thought about this a great deal because it comes down to some pretty fundamental philosophical matters. And I've discovered that one of them is this, that when people get up in the morning, they put on a bathrobe.
Yeah, show me a clip. What's it called? Whatever it is. I'll pull it up. As long as you don't drop something in that I can't show on stream. Just kidding. You won't do that. You won't do that.
After a little time goes by, they feel slightly guilty. And why do they feel slightly guilty? Because when you've got loose-fitting clothes on, you may have a slight suspicion that you don't really exist. In other words, you're not strapped in. Because all people of action wear big belts, like military, you know? Boots, things that clutch you tightly. And then you feel, because of the pressure upon your...
No, please share. I'll go watch the clip. Dude, I think people who are, I mean, like you said, screwed up in the head, the crazy people of the world, the mad people of the world, I think they have a lot of great ideas and great stuff to learn from because they think differently. They see the world differently. They can discuss the world in a different lens. And I like those thinkers. I like that.
Skin, you're really there. Now this is a very serious mistake, especially for soldiers. I maintain that the German army lost 2 world wars because of the goose step, because of military pomp and swagger, because of such things as brass bands and close order drill, because a really effective army...
You can hear his dog barking.
...should be invisible and inaudible. But you cannot get men who are on the machismo kick, who have to prove that they're men, to be invisible and inaudible. But a truly effective army, an army of guerrillas, should dress with complete comfort, complete practicality, and no kind of tying themselves together in knots.
Is that what the book is called? Google. That's what I said. No. Jeez. What's the clip? Go back 20 seconds on the clip.
Should be invisible and inaudible. But you cannot get men who are on the machismo kick, who have to prove that they're men, to be invisible and inaudible. But a truly effective army, an army of guerrillas, should dress with complete comfort, complete practicality, and no kind of tying themselves together in knots so that the pressure on you will assure you that you're there, because after all, that's like sleeping on a bed of nails.
Yeah.
But a great many people...
I don't know what it means, so what does that mean? Machismo refers to a cultural attitude or belief system that emphasizes exaggerated masculinity, especially traits like dominance, toughness, emotional suppression, and control. Here's a clear, balanced breakdown. Core meaning. Machismo equals the idea that a real man must be strong, dominant, sexually assertive, unemotional, and in control. It often includes pride and toughness, emotional restraint or suppression, emphasis on honor and reputation, expectation of male authority over others, risk-taking, and aggression. Origins. The word comes from Spanish macho, male, historically associated with parts of Latin America and Mediterranean cultures. Can include, in healthier forms, responsibility and duty, protectiveness and family, community, courage and endurance, work ethic, and pride in providing. Often criticized for emotional repression, hostility towards vulnerability, sexism and rigid gender roles of violence or dominance as proof of worth. Shaming men for softness, doubt, or empathy. Interesting. I think over the last, I guess in my lifetime, I think we've gone away from machismo a lot. We have gone away from this, and this is being like drilled. The opposite. Okay, let's see. What would the opposite be? There is no one perfect simple word to opposite. Gentleness, egalitarianism. Interesting. Think of a silverback gorilla in clothes in the modern world. One might call this a Chad. A modern man, someone who does house chores, shows emotions, etc. See, it's an anciently old problem of you can't beat me, I want you to win. Yeah, I've never heard this word before. Or the concept. Yeah, I think we're going too far away from this, though. Like, I do think some of these values are good, and I think we're going too far away. I think we've hit the point in, like, society and, like, the pendulum swinging. I think we're at the point that it's starting to go back the other way towards this concept. I think culture and society has been swinging away from this type of behavior and thinking, and we're about to start going back the other way. I think we just hit that point. We did improve, but then it got worse again. You overestimate the intellectual range of youth, for example. No. Are you saying I do personally, or I say the youth are the most intellectual. The youth have the emotional range, the depth. The youth are the ones we should listen to in this world. We're stuck in societies that the old people continue living and living and living, and they continue holding power without allowing youthfulness to come in and change the world. I think we need to have some sort of system that implements a certain amount of youthness into the society or into the policy. The lack of socialization they had. Violent crimes have increased by underage youth lately. Yeah, violent crimes have increased by underage youth lately. Yeah, it's probably for their lack of opportunities for the future. When you lose, like, for example, I was born in the year 2000, being 25 years old, I would say a lot of people around my age and even younger have lost hope for the future. We've lost hope for the idea of owning our own house, or the idea of affording a family, the idea of affording kids. So I think when you lose hope in some of the main principles that were given to prior societies and prior generations, you'll turn to extreme measures. You'll turn to violence. You'll turn to anarchy. I think that's natural. Or you'll turn to breaking the rules at all costs to make sure you get the things you want. You get the things you want in this world. Why don't I vote? George Carlin. Let's watch this. George Carlin's got some good stuff.
One thing you might have noticed I don't complain about. Politicians. Everybody complains about politicians. Everybody says they suck. Yeah! Well, where do people think these politicians come from? They don't fall out of the sky. They don't pass through a membrane from another reality. They come from American parents and American families, American homes, American schools, American churches, American businesses, and American universities, and they're elected by American citizens. This is the best we can do, folks. This is what we have to offer. It's what our system produces. Garbage in, garbage out. If you have selfish, ignorant...
That's not true. I disagree with that. Most politicians are Manchurian candidates. They've been set up. Most politicians are Manchurian candidates from a very young age.
Citizens, if you have selfish, ignorant citizens, you're going to get selfish, ignorant leaders. And term limits ain't going to do you any good. You're just going to wind up with a brand new bunch of selfish, ignorant...
Okay, I can't watch stand-up comedy. Not by the least. Violent crimes have increased by underage youth. This can be attributed by certain random factors, sure, but certain influences like Andrew Tate, FE didn't help in this regard. And I do agree that there are certain things we can learn from him. I've only recently learned this. Let me show you the clip. Yukoi Mashisha on the death in democratic society. I wouldn't say... I think you guys as Europeans have been kind of, in a sense, brainwashed into like believing that Andrew Tate is like the boogeyman of like the youth, and he has like co-opted and corrupted their minds into like being dangerous, like vicious creatures. I think that's like a I think that's a misrepresentation of what his message was trying to be. I would say he was more of like a society is becoming very feminine minded. It's becoming very, very soy, very soft, very unmasculine in every sense of the word and every sense of the representations. And he was kind of like bring a fighting spirit, kind of reignite what it's like to be masculine, to be a man. Although I wouldn't agree with all of the ways he did it. Oh, I'm just saying the message didn't come across in the correct way, the way he intended. Yeah, but like, if you reach a large enough audience, the message can't hit the way you intend with all of them. There's always going to be outcasts. There's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be school shooters. There's always going to be suicide bombers. So it's kind of, you kind of just comes with the territory if you're going to speak to an audience. And that's, don't say that's me saying none of that is good. Language barrier. No, you're good. I'm hearing everything you're saying. Let's see. Mishima. Yukio Mishima on death in democratic society. Is it the top clip? Top clip.
武士は普段から武道の鍛錬はいたしますが、なかなか生々のこと、武士は普段から武道の鍛錬はいたしますが、なかなか生々のことでは戦場の華々しい死なんてものはなくなってしまった。その中で、王職もあれば社用族もあり、今で言えばこのアイビー族みたいなのも侍の間に出てきた時代でした。その中でハークレン著者はいつでもその武士というものは一致か八致かの選択の時には死ぬ方を先に選ばなきゃいけないということを口を酸っぱくして説きましたけれども、著者自身は長生きして畳の上で死ぬのであります。でそういうふうに武士でもあっても結局死ぬチャンスがつかめないで、死ということを心の中に描きながら生きていった。そういうことで、仕事をやっていますときに、なんか性の検体といいますか、ただ人間が自分のために生きようということだけには卑しいものを感じてくるのは当然だと思うのであります。それで、人間の生命というものは不思議なもんで、自分のためだけに生きて自分のためだけに死ぬというほど人間は強くないんです。というのは人間は何か理想なり、何かのためということを考えてるんで、生きるのも自分のためだけに生きることにはすぐ飽きてしまう。すると死ぬのも何かのためということが必ず出てくる。それが昔言われた大義というものです。そして大義のために死ぬということが人間の最も華々しい、あるいは英雄的な、あるいは立派な死に方だというふうに考えられている。しかし今は大義がない。これは民主主義の政治形態というものは大義なんてものいらない政治形態ですから当然なんですが、それでも心の中に自分を超える価値が認められなければ、生きていることすら無意味になるというような心理状態がないわけではない。
Interesting. The immediate thought I had after watching that is like when he says there are no great causes, I would say there's manufactured great causes that like the political systems or whatever some of the trends and narratives of the world are like manufactured to people to tie and attach themselves to that cause as their like sole identity. That's interesting. A great cause. Yeah, I think that's a great message. It's a great message that you need some sort of North Star. My hair is got the headphone hair going. It's like having some sort of North Star that you can strive for despite any hardships or despite anything else going on in your life, that is like your great cause. So it's like deciding what battle is worth fighting for you, deciding what thing fills you with meaning and purpose is worth going out there and trying to attain and achieve that thing. And I think people need to find that for themselves. A lot of people are missing that. That is true. It's the remedy for lost souls. Ooh, that's poetic right there. The remedy for lost souls. I like that. It's the remedy for lost souls. We have a what did you study in school? We have a ton of lost souls in our society. We have a ton of lost souls. The trapped souls, I call people of the psychiatric institutions. I call them trapped souls that are in the walls, that continuously go back to these institutions. Because in there I felt as if these people that I'm surrounded by, this place that I'm in, it felt as if these spirits, these souls, these people were very old and ancient and continuously came back, as in like reincarnations, and continuously ended up in the psych ward, because the way they live, the way they interact, the way their emotions come through in this world, there is no place for it. So they end up in the same place in the hospitals. So I called it the trapped souls of the ward. My colleagues are like family, but I was missing something. But I work as a carrier for DHL for 5 years now. I love it. I really do love it. My colleagues are like my family, but I was missing something. It's so fascinating that, like, I do this show today, and I can sit here and we have common ground and joy and appreciation for, like, Japanese culture or Alan Watts and Terence McKenna, and even though you're from Belgium and I'm from Canada, it's pretty fascinating. And you're also 11 years older than me. It's pretty cool. It's cool. It's cool what the internet does. It's cool how you can find people. Oh, you're a volunteer firefighter. That's awesome. But I needed to truly understand this specific message, which, coming full circle, aligns perfectly with doing things I enjoy. Until I also ikage. I'm gonna order that book. That book's been in my Amazon cart for a couple years now. Haven't got around to reading it. Haven't got around to ordering or reading it until I eventually die. So you meditate on death. Essentially, you think about your death already. You think about what it means to die, and I don't think enough people think about death. I think people think about death in the sense of like fear, and like this looming fear that they know they'll die, but it's like scary or to like fear. But I think, like, if you look at a lot of like the old like Egyptian cultures, a lot of what they did was surrounded around like understanding death and like studying death and preparing for death, as if like death is the stepping stone to the next life. I think that kind of idea and mentality towards death is more suitable. As a single childless man, meditate on purpose. I like that. Meditating on purpose. Okay, I'm gonna go now. I really need to go to the bathroom, and I'm gonna go head on a walk outside. Thank you for Fast Don't Lie. Thanks for hanging out. That was awesome. I'm glad we could sit and chat for a while and discuss ideas and kind of get to know you. That was a lot of fun. I hope I get to talk to you again. I hope I'll be seeing you again, my friend. That was a lot of fun. But that is going to be today's episode. If you made it this far in the show, if you've hung out long enough, please follow along, subscribe, like, comment, any comments, any feedback. The YouTube channel, this will be posted. I try to come and stream almost every day. I'll be streaming in the evenings. I stream on Twitch, Rumble, and Kick, and I post my videos on YouTube. So the premise of our show and some of the things we talked about, I don't even remember. Honestly, I don't even remember what we talked about, how long ago that was. The premise of the show was how action creates clarity and taking steps moves you forward in purpose. Have a good one. Have a good one, man. Merry Christmas. And Merry Christmas, guys. Christmas tomorrow. So I hope you enjoy your Christmas Eve, and I hope you have a healthy, prosperous Christmas with the family and friends. So thank you guys for watching. Bye now.